How to do, folks? I'm back with the Raw review. February 15th, 2016, from Anaheim, California. They never actually mentioned the name of the arena, although it's Anaheim, so I'm guessing the pond, where they usually have the Mighty Ducks games. Top of the show, we get a recap of last week's contract signing, the triple threat, Reigns, Ambrose, and Brock, and the subsequent fight between the three of them, as well as recapping Ambrose going after Brock the whole night, and the fight between those two, which led to Brock getting hit in his balls, which I imagine that must have been a hard shot for Ambrose to hit, because after all the steroids Brock has abused, his nuts are probably tiny. It's a good thing that Brock got Sable pregnant with their kid when he did, because by now they probably wouldn't have much left for that, and not much of a chance for that happening. We don't get the intro video for the show, no pyro, no nothing. Ambrose's music hits and he comes out. He's got his Intercontinental title belt, which I thought was kind of strange considering what ended up happening, but then what also ended up happening made it make sense. Scripted television and everything. He comes out and he gets in the ring and he starts talking about the Fastlane match. He calls out Brock. He's still hankering for another piece of Brock, even after getting his ass kicked last week. And instead of Brock coming out, because of course he's not going to show up on Raw 2 weeks in a row, because he's a piece of shit who won't show up on a normal schedule. Instead, who else but cunt Stephanie comes out. And she runs her dick licker just like she always does. And she announces that right here and now, since Ambrose is hankering for a fight, we're going to have a fatal 5-way match for Ambrose's Intercontinental title. Stephanie leaves, and out comes Kevin Owens, the first of Ambrose's opponents for this. Followed by Stardust, followed by Tyler Breeze, and finally Dolph Ziggler. And after Ziggler comes out, they cut to a commercial break. And after the commercial break, we get the match between these five. And I decided to go light on the notes this time, and I'm probably going to do this from now on. I decided to go light on the notes. I didn't write down every little thing. I only wrote down big spots, shit that you don't normally see, and the finish, of course. Or at least I tried to get the finish. There was a couple of times I was distracted by something and I kind of missed the finish, but they were shit throwaway matches that I missed, so whoop-de-doo. Anyways, the Fatal 5-Way. The first noteworthy thing that happened is Tyler Breeze gets powerbombed by Kevin Owens out of the ring on top of two of the other guys who were outside the ring. There was a commercial break after that. Yes, I'm going to continue keeping track of the commercial breaks because they keep pissing me off, having commercial breaks in the middle of fucking matches, especially when you had a damn commercial break before the match started. You should have had plenty of time to get through the damn match and then have a commercial afterwards. I'm just saying. After the commercial break, there was some more shit. Ambrose was on the top rope, and people kept taking turns to try and suplex him off, and Ambrose would fight him off with like a headbutt or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Ziggler jumps up, grabs him by the head, and jumps backwards and hits the Super Famouser, dropping Ambrose on his head. So that was a big spot, I guess. We get to a point in the match where Owens is standing in the middle of the ring, and the other 4 guys are sitting down, one in each corner. And I'm thinking, okay, I can already see this coming from a mile away. Owens hits his cannonball on every single person, except for Tyler Breeze, who actually counters it. He gets up, and I think he super kicked Owens in the face to stop him. Whoop-de-doo. Afterwards, there was a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd, although I would have to debate that. It was a good match, but I wouldn't exactly say awesome. The finish of the match comes when Ambrose got Stardust cinched up for the Dirty Deeds. He now does... The Dirty Deeds isn't the headlock driver anymore, or was it a snapmare driver? I don't remember. It used to be back before I quit watching. It used to be like a headlock driver. He's changed it now. Instead, he's using Mick Foley's double underhook butterfly DDT, or essentially it's Drew McIntyre's Future Shock. Only not really. But he gets Stardust cinched up for that. He gets the double underhook. Ziggler comes up from behind, jumps up and grabs Ambrose and hits the zigzag, while simultaneously Ambrose plants Stardust with the fucking Dirty Deeds. So that was like a double finisher at the same time involving 3 guys. It was a cool spot. Breeze comes out of nowhere to try and capitalize on the situation. I think he threw Ambrose, or I think he threw Ziggler out of the ring, because Ziggler was the only one who wasn't really hurt by the double finisher. So Breeze throws Ziggler the hell out of the ring, turns around, gets caught by Owens, who pops him up and powerbombs him. And by the way, Breeze made the powerbomb look like shit, because as he's going up, he goes like this and takes the flat bump, and it looked weak as hell. But he still stayed down for it. 1, 2, 3. Owens gets the win and the Intercontinental title. So Owens is now your Intercontinental Champion for the second time, because he had the Intercontinental title before. He gets the hell out of there, of course, with the belt. And Ambrose is left in the ring distraught. He's pissed off that he lost. It was a decent enough match. Good way to start off the show. It's certainly better than the usual 20 minutes of talking that they usually do. We get hype for AJ Styles versus The Miz, which is going to happen later on tonight. We also get hype for an interview with Brie Bella. Following the retirement of Daniel Bryan, Brie supposedly has something to say herself, and it came out earlier on, not really social media, but the news outlets. It was on NoDQ.com. Brie's thinking about retiring too. And it's almost a safe bet that either Fastlane or WrestleMania is going to be her last match. So, whatever. After that hype fest, they cut to another commercial break. Excuse me. Coming back from the commercial break, we get a recap of the match, the ending to the match, and, of course, Owens winning the title. We cut backstage to Ambrose, who's pissed because he just lost. Renee Young comes up, Dean's girlfriend. Dean cuts a frickin' good promo talking about... And see, I actually thought about this as soon as Owens won the title. I'm thinking, oh, something I should have mentioned. Stephanie, when she was running her mouth after she made the match, she happened to mention that if Roman came out to help Ambrose retain his title, then Ambrose would be disqualified from the triple threat at Fastlane, and so it would only be a one-on-one match, Reigns versus Brock. So that's why Roman didn't come out to help him at all. But anyways, Ambrose starts cutting this good promo about how people keep taking things away from him, but really they're just giving him opportunity. And it kind of harkens back to a promo he cut on the Indies, where he talked about he had just won a title, and he talked about, I've never really been the prey. I've always been the hunter. I've always fashioned myself as a hunter. I'm the one who goes after people for something. And having this title just makes me a target. It kind of harkened back to that. But he cuts this good promo. And again, the thing I was mentioning about thinking about the whole situation, had Ambrose gone into the triple threat match at Fastlane as Intercontinental Champion, it would be pretty obvious that he was not going to win the match, because the winner of the match goes against Triple H at WrestleMania for the WWE title. And obviously they're not going to have Intercontinental Champion versus WWE Champion again. So it was really obvious, if Ambrose had the title, he wasn't winning the match. Now that he's lost the title, he might actually have a chance of winning. He doesn't, not realistically. But within the storyline, within kayfabe, he actually has a better chance of winning now. He won't. Roman will win. Of course he will. And if he doesn't win, if Brock wins, who gives a fuck? We've seen Brock and Triple H before. Apparently that's the match they want to do, is Brock and Triple H. I don't know why. We've seen it before. I hate both of them. But yeah. So Ambrose cuts this good promo. I can't really remember. Like I said, it was talking about people keep taking stuff from him, but they're really just giving him opportunities at bigger things. Oh yes. After Ambrose cuts the promo, they cut back to the commentators, who talk about something briefly, and then I think it's Saxton goes, oh, hold on a second, we have to cut back to Renee Young in the backstage area. Something's going on. They cut right back to Renee, who's in the same spot, and up comes Kevin Owens with the title that he just won. And he's talking to Renee about, I told you I was going to get this title back. It's my title. So I want you to tell them that I was right. And Renee's like, nah, I'm not going to say that. Up comes Ziggler. And he mentions, Kevin, I've beaten you 2 weeks in a row now. So how about you give me the first shot at that Intercontinental title at Fastlane? Owens says, nah, and he just walks away. He's just like, nah, fuck off. Cutting back to the arena, the New Day comes out. And, oh yes, they showed a recap from last September, where apparently there was a backstage segment with Edge and Christian. Who cares? Fast lane shit. Oh yes, they hype up, I'm guessing it's going to be on the pre-show for the Fastlane pay-per-view. For the first time, and probably for the last time, they're going to bring back Edge's Cutting Edge and Christian's Peep Show, but they're going to combine them. It's going to be the Cutting Edge Peep Show. And I couldn't give a shit less. Because these two fuckers are retired. I've never liked Edge. Christian's way better, but he's retired now, apparently, because they won't let him wrestle anymore. Too many injuries, I guess. Cutting back to the arena, the New Day are still in the ring, and they cut a promo on Edge and Christian, and then they start talking about Mark Henry, about how he walked out on them in their match last week. And then Mark Henry comes out, and they cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, we get a match, Big E versus Mark Henry. Match was boring, completely forgettable. The finish comes. Big E actually manages to lift up Henry on his shoulder and actually managed to hold him for a few seconds, and I was astounded by this because Henry's a big motherfucker. He holds him on his shoulder for a good couple of seconds, and then somehow Henry wiggles free and slips down the back, but he immediately collapses, clutching his stomach. And I'm thinking, did he just hurt himself or something? I didn't see the referee hold up the X or anything, but Big E rolls him over, covers him, 1, 2, 3, and that's the match. Big E wins. Really screwy finish. I don't know if Henry's hurt. I don't care, because he's a fat piece of shit, and I've never liked him either. Sorry I'm adjusting so much, it bothers me. You know what? I'm just going to take these things off. I have these bracelets, but they're just bothering me. Let's see. Yeah, so whatever the fuck with that. Moving on. More hype for Bree's interview later on, and they cut to a commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, they announce and hype up that Brock Lesnar's going to be on SmackDown this week for the first time in something like 12 years, I think they said. Who cares? It's Brock Bitchface Lesnar. He's a steroided up monkey who doesn't give a shit about the business. He only cares about himself. I don't give a fuck about his mongoloid ass. Neanderthal douchebag. Moving on. Cutting into the arena, Byron Saxton is in the ring. He's left the commentary table. He introduces Bree, who comes out to pretty much no reaction. And we get a recap from last week when Bryan was retiring and he was talking about Bree. And cutting back live to the arena, Bree's in the ring leading a yes chant. She starts talking, there's a Daniel Bryan chant, and then all of a sudden out comes Charlotte with Flair. Ric Flair, that is. I still find it creepy that this woman is being escorted to the ring by her dad, arm in arm. Charlotte gets in the ring with a microphone and she starts doing her best Stephanie McMahon impression. Like, seriously. She has the same inflection in her voice, the same cunty attitude. The voice even sounds about the same. I'm like, you're really taking lessons from Stephanie, aren't you? You come off of like a cunt just like she does. And you're both boring as fuck. Charlotte starts talking like, Bree, you should really back out of our match at Fastlane. You should go home and be a good wife to Daniel Bryan and a good sister to your sister Nikki, who's injured. And all this other shit. It's a bunch of boring garbage. They go back and forth. Charlotte says something to the effect of, I can't imagine how bad your goat-faced children are going to look, you and Bryan's children. And of course this warrants her getting the shit slapped out of her by Bree. Bree beats her up and does Bryan's repeating kicks to the chest before Charlotte has to be pulled out of the ring by her dad, Grandpa Flair, old motherfucker. That's basically the end of that segment. Boring segment, who cares, it's the fucking Divas. We get the first part of a 3-part recap of the Wyatt's path of destruction over the last month. This video recaps them beating up Kane the first week. And so they show that. And we get hype for The Big Show versus Braun Strowman, which is going to be later on in the show. Coming back to the arena, the lights go out, and there's the countdown. Jericho's countdown, which I don't think he's used in quite a while. Maybe while I was gone, I don't know, but whatever. Countdown and the pyro, and he comes out with his light bright jacket, and he sits his punk ass on commentary. He's going to be on commentary for the next match. which is, well, they cut to a commercial break first. When they come back, the Miz's music hits, and he comes out with his douchey fucking... He's got this new coat thing that he wears with a hood and a popped collar, and he does this face thing. Mike? Seriously, bro? Rick Martel and Rick Rude called, and they said, quit ripping us off. You need to do your own thing. And tell Tyler Breeze he's a punk, too. These gimmicks suck, people. Miz is better than this. Tyler Breeze, well... Let's just move on. Miz comes out. We get a recap from SmackDown of the match between AJ and Jericho. There was the first match they had at the beginning of SmackDown, which was interfered by the dumb punk-ass Outcasts. There was a tag team match between AJ and Jericho versus the Outcasts, which AJ and Jericho won, only for Jericho to hit the code breaker on AJ and leave him laying and saying, I'll see you later. And then they had another match at the end of SmackDown, which Jericho won again with a fucking code breaker clean. They recap the whole kit and caboodle, and that brings us finally back. AJ's music comes out, his shitty music hits, and he comes out. Miz attacks him as soon as he gets in the fucking ring. And he beats on AJ for a few seconds before the referee breaks him up. He's like, hold on, I gotta start the match. I need you to back the hell up. So Miz backs up, and the ref has to go over and check on AJ, and AJ's like, yeah, I'm fine, start the match. So, ding, 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 and the match starts. We get Miz versus AJ. Dive spot. AJ did some sort of a dive spot on the Miz. I can't remember what it was. They cut to a commercial break. AJ had countered out of the skull-crushing finale once already, but the Miz hits it. He hits the skull-crushing finale, and AJ kicks out at 2. And the commentators had to make a big deal about it, like hardly anybody is kicked out of the skull-crushing finale. Whatever. AJ ends up locking in the calf crusher on the Miz, and Miz taps out. So AJ gets the win by submission. It was a good match. Really good match. Well, not really good. It was a good match. Of course, you got AJ in there. And the Miz, you know, like I keep saying, people shit on the Miz. He's really not bad. The ref is attending to the Miz on the outside of the ring, on the far side of the ring, on the floor. AJ's still in the ring celebrating. Jericho leaves commentary, and he's got a microphone, and he starts talking. AJ cuts him off real quick, and he says, you know, how about I just save us both the trouble, and how about I challenge you to the match that I know you want, and I know it's what you're going to say to me anyways. So I'm challenging you to a match at Fastlane. And Jericho's like, I'll tell you my answer on SmackDown. That's what he says. So, the pay-per-view is this Sunday, and they're waiting until SmackDown to announce this match. Stupid shit. More jerking us off and wasting our time. Just say yes, Jericho. We know the match is gonna fucking happen. It's a best out of 3 series, essentially, and you're both tied at 1. So you need the tiebreaker. It's gonna have to happen at some point. Don't waste our fucking time. Can we just get to the part where you put over AJ and get the fuck out of the company for a while? Because I'm really bored of this crap. AJ's a great fucking performer, but you're hitting the fucking drag chute on his momentum real bad. We get hyped for the Dudleys. They're going to talk or something next. And we cut to a commercial break. When we come out, the Dudleys' music hits and their pyro and everything, and they come out to hardly any reaction. Hilarious. They went from getting a nice big pop last week when they came out, and actually a pretty decent pop when they turned on the Usos, and now they're basically getting crickets. They come down to the ring. They look under the ring for the tables, and I'm pretty sure I saw one down there, but they don't bother getting it out. Feeds into their promo. They start talking, and dumbass bully Bubba Ray is like, they thought we were going to get the tables. Well, tough shit, because we're not going to. We're not doing the tables anymore. And like I said before, good job, way to get rid of the only dimension to your fucking character in this company. So now you're just as boring and generic as everybody the fuck else. Only you're 40 fucking years old, and even more boring than everybody else because you're old. And like I said, I've never really liked Bubba Ray, because he's an asshole. I've always found Devon to be pretty fucking boring. They call out the Usos, and then they go, oh yeah, they're not going to be here because of this. And they show the clip from last week of them putting the Usos through tables. More talking. They say, yeah, we're getting rid of the tables, but if you want to see us with doing the tables, you can go on the WWE Network and look up all that bullshit there. So they get in a network plug, even though they're heels now. There's a chant, we want tables. More boring bullshit from these two ass clowns. And they end with a Devon, oh my brother, oh testify. And then the sound of silence. Crickets. All of their overness just went out the fucking window. They smash cut backstage to an extremely yummy looking Paige. If there's one thing that gets me interested, it's Paige. Oh god. Since AJ's gone, she's the new hottie in the company. Well, she was always a hottie, but like, she's basically the only hottie now. Because I ain't sneezing at Summer Rae, or, let's see, Natalia's married, Stephanie's a whore, Naomi and Cameron, no, Tamina is way too manly for a chick. And I would have let Beth Phoenix do things to me, okay? Beth Phoenix was way more attractive than Tamina is. Okay? Moving on. So Paige is backstage. Apparently she's coming out for a match, which is going to happen next, and they cut to a commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, Summer Rae is in the ring. Speaking of Summer Rae, Paige comes out to a small pop. And we have a match between these two. This is one of the matches I missed the finish to. Summer somehow gets the win. I think with a cheap roll-up. I'm not really sure. But I don't know what the fuck happened. And I don't know what the hell they're thinking with this shit. Number one, they make a big deal out of Paige with the backstage segment. Number two, Summer gets the jobber entrance already being in the ring when they came back from commercial. So unless they're trying to bury Paige, I don't know what the fuck they're doing here. And if they're trying to bury Paige, I'd have to ask why. And what the fuck are you thinking burying one of the only talented women on your female roster right now? Because you've got Paige, you've got Sasha Banks, Bayley. Is Becky even on, or is Bayley even on the main roster? I don't know. You got Sasha Banks, you've got Becky Lynch. And I still haven't even seen anything all that interesting from Charlotte, so I don't know. Anyways, Paige is left in the ring like what the fuck just happened. She still looks yummy as fuck though, but anyways. We cut backstage again. There's Paul Heyman. He's coming out next for something, and they cut to another commercial break. So they do the same thing twice, back to back. Coming back from the commercial break, more hype for Brock being on SmackDown. And then Heyman comes out, or he was already in the ring. I don't know what the fuck. He starts talking. He starts running through his same old spiel. It's so old. But then he finally says something new. He says, I want Roman Reigns to come out here so I can say this to his face. Sure enough, Reigns comes out through the crowd like he always does. Heyman even shakes his hand. He starts talking some more. Basically, what Heyman was doing was, you could call it playing devil's advocate, I guess. Basically, what he was trying to do was drive a wedge between Reigns and Ambrose, saying that there's no way either one of you can beat Brock alone, and even together, the two of you can't beat Brock. So the only chance you have to win this triple threat match at Fastlane is if one of you beats the other. And it is a triple threat match, so it is every man for himself. Yada yada yada. Roman talks. Don't remember what he says, because everything he says is fucking forgettable. But he ends, of course, with a "you can believe that." And then out of nowhere, out come the fucking old motherfuckers, the Dudleys, and they beat the shit out of Roman. Completely out of nowhere. These two haven't even interacted before. I'm guessing they did this as a favor to Heyman because of their ECW history. Ambrose comes out for the save, and him and Reigns clean house. And the two of them are standing tall in the ring as the Dudleys leave, chicken shits that they are. Ambrose grabs Reigns and goes for the dirty deeds. But Reigns pushes him off. And he's like, what the fuck? And Ambrose just has this crazy look on his face. And he's basically like, I'm just fucking with you, man. Don't worry about it. But you gotta be ready for anything because of the match at Fastlane, right? And so they do their little fist bump thing. They're really trying to push this thing like these two are like bros. Like, bro, I'm just playing with you, bro. Come on. Just playing with you, bro. Whatever the fuck. Then they come up with this stupid shit. They show this splash screen and this big phallic award thing called the Vincent J. McMahon Award. Vincent J. McMahon was our Vince McMahon, Vince K. McMahon, his father, the original Vince McMahon, who originally created the WWF, as it actually was back then. Until our Vince fucks it up and ruins it. Anyways. They're talking about this fucking award that somebody's going to get next week. And they say that it's an award that no one has ever deserved up until now. And I'm like, okay, so this is an award we've never heard of. Vince McMahon Sr. died like 20 years ago or something, and they're only now breaking it down? Oh, nobody deserved it up until now. Dollars to Pesos says it's going to Vince Jr., I guess it would be. Vince K. McMahon. I bet you anything that's what's going to happen. He's going to give himself a fucking award for it's some lifetime achievement award. Whatever the fuck. Oh, after that, we get recap part 2 of the Wyatt's Path of Destruction. After they beat up Kane the first week, the second week they beat up the Big Show. So they show the recap of that. And all of these recaps are full of these 2-second cuts. Quick cut, quick cut, quick cut. I can't fucking tell what the hell's going on in these damn things with all these quick cuts. Slow shit down and let us process things, for fuck's sake. I understand the Wyatts have this, the whole cutaway gag and everything, and it sucks, and it's boring. This ain't a horror movie, WWE, and the Wyatts ain't scary. They're a bunch of fat, scraggly losers with no direction right now. And the reaction they get later kind of proves it. Moving on. There's recap part 2 of the whole shit coming, and then they cut to a commercial break. Coming back from the ring, Captain Jobber Zack Ryder is standing in the ring. And then the Social Outcasts music hits. And the 4 of those dweebs come out. They get some picture-in-a-picture promo, who gives a shit. Ryder goes up against Heath Slater. Jobber match, didn't even see how it ended. Slater got the win. Who cares? Moving on. We get another segment of Goldust trying to recruit R-Truth. This time, Truth is out on a date with some chick at a restaurant. Goldust comes up, full face paint, again, in a waiter outfit. He's apparently working at the restaurant as waiter. Yada yada, he pulls up a champagne bottle. Compliments of the house. Because Truth is like, I didn't pay for that. I'm not paying for that. And Goldust is like, compliments of the house. It's free. He pops the cork and sprays the fizzy goo all over Truth's date. And he's holding it at his crotch. So of course it looks like a cum shot, basically. And afterwards, the camera zooms in on Goldust's face and he's just like, oh. Really creepy, weird shit. Goldust fucks off. Truth attends to his chick. And he's actually saying, I like it on you, it's nice, or whatever. And I'm like, whatever. That's the end of that segment, basically. Stop. We don't need this fucking tag team between Truth and Goldust. We don't have enough loser tag teams in the division as it is. Enough already. Seriously, I'm getting major flashbacks to Goldust and Booker T. Speaking of which, they actually bring that up a little later on. Whatever. After that, they cut to another commercial break. Coming back from the break, the Lucha Dragons come out. Followed by Adrian Neville, or just Neville as he's called. Followed by the League of Jabronis, the League of Nations, all 4 of them this week. And it's Rusev, Sheamus, and Del Rio versus the Dragons and Neville. And Barrett is standing on the outside of the ring. We get the match. Meh. There was a triple dive, of course, by the High Flyers. All 3 of the bad guys were on the outside of the ring. They jump down, dive on them. Commercial break. Fast forwarding to the finish of the match. Let's see what happened. There was some apron bullshit. I think it was Kalisto. Or no, maybe it was Sin Cara. Who cares? It was one of the Dragons was caught by Del Rio on the apron. Del Rio hits him, so he falls back into the ring, but he's hanging on the middle rope, and he's like hung on the middle rope, and he's like hanging onto the top rope like this. And I'm like, I can already see this coming. Del Rio goes up to the top rope, jumps over from halfway across the ring, stomps the guy into the ground. Because like I said, that's apparently his finisher now. Contrived as fuck spot. Del Rio gets the win, and the League of Jobbers gets the win. The match was meh, it was really boring, the crowd was dead afterwards, these jabronis are not over, let's end this stable already, because basically you threw them together because you had nothing else for them. Rusev was basically fucked after that whole feud between him and Ziggler and the whole thing with him and Lana. I know about that. The 2 announced they were getting married in real life, and so the WWE had to drop the whole storyline where Lana had dumped Rusev for Ziggler. Really bad. You see, this is why you need to keep wrestlers' personal lives the fuck out of the tabloids. They fuck with your storylines. If you had any kind of integrity, you would have kept with the storyline anyways. I think people at this day and age can differentiate between wrestling show and real life. Okay, these 2 are actually getting married in real life. That's great. Happy for them. Whatever. Storyline, they don't like each other. You know how many actors and actresses have been in movies where they're supposed to be a loving couple, but they actually hated each other in real life? aplenty. It's called acting. You have to put your real personal feelings aside to put the show on. And you don't change the script of the show just because your personal life came out. Again, lacking of integrity. They show the Black History Month video for this week, which is Booker T. And as I said, the whole thing with Booker T and Goldust, that was shown briefly in the video, so that's where that came up. They cut to a video that was apparently posted on some social media site. A video from earlier when Becky Lynch was arriving at the arena earlier today. She shows up and she's confronted by, guess who? Tamina and fucking Naomi. They talk bitchy catty bullshit. Becky tries to leave. She gets super kicked by Naomi. It was one of the weakest looking super kicks I've ever seen. Becky falls back against the car that she arrived in, and she barely sold it. I'm thinking, why did she even sell that at all? I'm hoping after the camera's cut, she looked at Naomi and said, bitch, you better step up your game, because I'm not going to sell that jabroni crap again. I really hope she did, because that kick looked like shit. Naomi is shit. Apparently, Cameron has been practicing on NXT, and according to some people, she's getting better. I don't believe that for a second, however, because I know Cameron is still shit. She's got a hell of a lot of improving to do if she wants to get any kind of thumbs up from me. And no matter what, she probably won't, because she's still going to suck on promos. Anyways, after that they cut to a commercial break. Coming back from the break, there's the League of Jabronis backstage. Renee Young comes up to him. The other three leave and leave Del Rio behind to talk to Renee. And Del Rio basically says, or Renee asks him, do you think that gives you momentum going into your U.S. title match with Kalisto at the pay-per-view? And Del Rio basically talks up a big game, and he says, Kalisto needs to accept my challenge, that our match at Fastlane should be 2 out of 3 falls. And that's basically the end of the segment. Cutting back into the arena, Becky's music hits, and out she comes, to a decent pop. Naomi's music hits, and she comes out with Tamina, of course. And we get a match between these two, a crappy match. Becky wins with an armbar submission, and of course, as Becky is celebrating, I don't know why the hell I have this written down as Naomi attacks Becky. Tamina jumps in and attacks Becky. And together, her and Naomi beat down Becky until Sasha's music hits and she comes out for the save. She doesn't really help much because Naomi's kind of like playing, point guard or whatever, blocking Sasha from getting into the ring. And it was actually kind of funny. Sasha comes down to the ring, and I even see her taking her earrings out of her fucking ears and throwing them off. I'm like, she's a Latin girl, right? Yeah, that's the typical Latina chick. I'm taking my earrings off, bitch. You done pissed me off, you know. You gonna get it now, girl. Like I said, Sasha didn't help much. As Naomi was blocking her from getting into the ring, Tamina picks up Becky and hits the Samoan drop on her. Sasha gets in the ring. The two bitches leave the ring. Becky gets up. And her and Sasha are standing there. Whatever. After that, we get the Wyatt recap part 3 of last week when they beat the hell out of Ryback. Whoop-de-doo, moving on. More hype for The Big Show versus Braun Strowman, which is coming up next, and we cut to another commercial break. Coming back from the break, more hype for Brock on SmackDown. Don't care, moving on. Hype for the Dudleys versus Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Saw this coming after the what happened earlier. That's also going to be on SmackDown. More hype for the Vincent J. McMahon Award, also next week. Finally, cutting back to the arena, the Wyatts come out. And they get their whole entrance. And I had to notice now, they get their own little custom nameplate. Instead of the usual Raw thing with the little name tag at the bottom of the screen, instead of the little red, Raw logo and all that shit, it says, well, it actually just said Braun Strowman because he was coming out for his match. But all four of them come out together. And Bray leads the way, of course, like he always does. He's got his stupid fucking LCD, not LCD. He's got his little lantern. It's an LED light. It's not a real lantern. He blows the fucking out. He's hitting a switch on the bottom of the fucking lantern. Really corny, Bray. Either use a real lantern or fuck off. And this thing even smokes now. I'm guessing they stick dry ice in it or some shit. Again, more creepy bullshit. The only thing creepy about him is I feel like he's fucking kids in a van like a pedophile. Him and his Wyatt family. But yeah, they get their own little custom name thing. It's the Fireflies. It's these little white lights, like the camera phones in the audience during their fucking entrance. And it forms the letters in the name, Braun Strowman or Bray Wyatt or the Wyatt family or whatever the fuck. I don't know why they're the only ones who get this custom nameplate, but it's bullshit. They're not deserving of it. They have no direction right now, and it's lame. And it's not creepy. And it's boring as fuck. Anyways, this is the end of the show, thank God. The four jabronis come out and they get in the ring, and Luke Harper talks first. He doesn't say a whole lot. He passes the mic to Rowan, who also doesn't say much. But he passes the mic to Bray, and Bray runs off at the mouth with his verbal diarrhea like he always does. Can't even remember anything he said because it was all cryptic bullshit and nonsense. He passes the mic to Strowman, who also doesn't have much to say. He basically says, I think, wake up or run. Big Show's music hits, and he comes out to basically no reaction. And here's this match. Last segment on the show. Horrible goddamn way to end your show. A boring, slow-paced, shitty match between two big fucking hosses, one of which is green and the other has never been that good in the first place. There's nothing of note in the match. The match ends by DQ when, of course, the Wyatts interfere and they attack the Big Show. And they beat the crap out of him until all of a sudden Ryback's music hits and he comes charging to the ring. He runs over Strowman, he grabs Rowan, throws him into the ring steps at ringside. He gets in the ring, tries to fight off the other two, but he's overwhelmed. And I'm thinking, okay, now Kane's going to show up. Sure enough, the corner posts explode with Kane's pyro and the red lights. The Wyatts, like idiots, look up towards the stage when we can clearly see in the one corner the ring mat is getting torn up. Kane pokes his head out through the fucking ring mat and comes through the ring mat from under the ring. He gets out and he beats up some people. Together, him and Ryback and Big Show, they clean house, including a double choke slam. Kane and Big Show double choke slam Harper. Whoop-de shit. So they clean house. The Wyatts are scarpering up the fucking ramp. Kane looks like he's going to do his little pyro thing. He does it a couple of times like he motions for it, but I guess he's waiting for like his cue because he stalls. Finally he does it, and instead of it blowing up the corners, it blows up on the stage, scaring the shit out of the Wyatts who are on the ramp. Crowd's dead. That's the end of the show. They basically, once again, the commentators have to plug shit on the network. Up next, we've got a Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast with The Big Show. They've been doing Stone Cold's podcast on the network for a while now. By the way, here's piece of advice. You're not a podcast anymore when you're on any kind of a network. A podcast is usually audio only. It's not audio only. This is video. It's on the WWE network. It's not a podcast anymore. Stone Cold is hosting a talk show where he interviews somebody. Colt Cabana does a fucking podcast because it's audio only. There's no video. They post it on YouTube, but it's just one static picture while they talk. But I gotta be honest, that's a lot more entertaining than whatever the hell. And not only that, but Stone Cold shit is sponsored by the WWE. So of course, it's all going to be pre-filtered. Everything is okay for the WWE. They're not going to talk about anything that would make the WWE look bad. Of course not. Because the WWE are cowards. They will not admit the truth that their company sucks right now. They have lost a lot of top-tier talent, and John Cena, because John Cena was never top-tier talent. I'm going to keep knocking him. Sorry. I'm not sorry. John Cena sucks. I'm glad he's injured. I'm glad he's gone for right now. The only people I'm missing are Randy Orton and Seth Rollins. And God, when Rollins comes back, if we can get the triple threat between him, Reigns, and Ambrose, that would be great. Turn Reigns heel, have him side with the Authority, have Rollins come back as a face, denouncing the Authority, and saying those guys can lick my balls. I'm face now. Me and Ambrose are bros now. Because Reigns betrays Ambrose. This is the way I would book it. But then again, I'm not a moron who works on the WWE's creative team. Like I said, that was the end of the show. The crowd was dead. I guess we can recap the matches like I usually do. The first match, the Fatal 5-Way for the Intercontinental title, with Owens winning the title. I'm not mad about Owens winning the title. Again, it helps the storyline of Ambrose going into the triple threat. He actually could potentially win. He won't, but he could potentially. If he was the Intercontinental Champion going in, there'd be no chance of him winning. And I'd actually like to see a match between Ambrose and Triple H. Just to see what kind of sick things Ambrose could do to Triple H in that ring. Ambrose has been in some sick fucking matches in his career. And I'm talking outside the WWE. Thumbtacks, barbed wire, broken glass, tables, fire, explosives. He took a fucking reciprocating saw to the head. It was gimmicked. But still. Look it up. I'd like to see Ambrose do that to Triple H. With an ungimmicked reciprocating saw. I hate you, Paul, you fuckface. You suck at running this company, and so does your wife. And so does your dad-in-law. Fuck the McMahons. Fuck Triple H. Fuck the WWE, and fuck this show. The Fatal 5-Way was a good enough match. Big E versus Mark Henry was boring as hell. Big E goes over. Who gives a shit? The Miz versus AJ was a good match. AJ won, and that's cool. Summer beating Paige. What the fuck? Paige sucks. She has no relevance in any storylines. Why are we making Paige look bad here? Heath Slater jobs out Zack Ryder. Fitting for Ryder because that's all he is a fucking jabroni. I don't give a shit about Slater either. I never have. In fact, let's go back to the breakup of the three-man band. When Slater was the only member kept, they fired Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre. McIntyre is now in TNA, in some kind of a feud with Kurt Angle of all people. Honestly, I thought Mahal and McIntyre were the better parts of that stable. They should have fired Slater and kept the other two. Moving on. The Lucha Dragons and Neville lose to the League of Jabronis. A meh match. Becky beats Naomi. Good for Becky because she shouldn't have to lose to that jabroni crap that is Naomi. The match still sucked. And then I would assume the Big Show wins by DQ in the main event when the Wyatts attack him. The match was slow, it was boring, it was shit. It was two hosses slugging each other, basically. That's Raw from February 15, 2016, Anaheim, California. Once again, was not able to... They never mentioned the arena. So, yeah. Don't know what arena it was, who cares. That's Raw. It sucked. Just like last week, just like always. Train still careening off the rails. Funny thing is, watching this train wreck isn't as entertaining as I thought it was going to be. So anyways, thank you for watching. I have been your host. Thank you for watching. Good night. We'll see you for SmackDown spoilers. Apparently SmackDown is on Thursdays now, so I was way late on my SmackDown video last week, but I was sick. Still kind of sick. Sorry about that. I'll try to get it up earlier this week for the spoilers. Good night.